one, we're going to verify this trig identity, and we're going to do this by writing all our terms in terms of sine and cosine. So not this side, we want to work on the more complicated side. So we'll get started with that and just write everything in terms of sine and cosine. So for this first piece, we're going to have cosine of theta divided by sine of theta. All right, and then the denominator is going to be 1 minus sine of theta divided by cosine of theta. All right, then we have a plus, and we'll do this one. Sine of theta divided by cosine of theta, all divided by 1 minus cosine of theta divided by sine of theta. All right, now that we have that, we want to get the common denominator for our denominators here. So the denominator for this one's going to be cosine of theta. So I'm going to multiply this also by cosine of theta. Cosine of theta divided by cosine of theta is 1. So do the same thing for here. Just change this 1 to sine of theta divided by sine of theta. That way we can have the same denominator. Now this is going to equal sine of theta divided by cosine of theta, sorry about that, cosine of theta divided by sine of theta, all divided by cosine theta minus sine theta, all divided by cosine of theta. All right, and next, same thing, to simplify this further. Make it look nice. So this one's going to be sine of theta minus cosine of theta divided by sine of theta. The next step, what I'm going to do is notice that, and I'll look at it this way. If you have A divided by B divided by C divided by D, that means you're going to do keep, change this to times, and flip this. D divided by C. So basically what I'm going to do is multiply these two. That's what would be the D part here. And also multiply these two. All right. So I'm going to do that in the next step. And when you do that, you're going to get cosine squared of theta divided by sine of theta times cosine theta minus sine theta. And for the second term, we get sine squared theta divided by cosine theta times sine theta minus cosine theta. All right, now we're going to have to find the common denominator. So let's let our common denominator be, we need both of these, so we'll do sine theta, cosine theta. Now these are different, and I want them to be the same. So if I want them to be the same, I'm going to go ahead, you can pick either one, but I'm going to pick this one. So I want that to be my denominator, part of my common denominator. Now to do that, I need to change this one. And the way to get that to be changed is you're going to multiply this by -1. That's going to change this to a positive. Or it's going to make this, if you take this negative, this is going to be negative cosine of theta plus sine of theta. And that switches it to this. But you also have to multiply your numerator by that. So let's write our numerators. And we have negative cosine squared of theta, and then plus sine squared of theta. But now we have to fix our numerators. So basically, looking at this, what's missing for the numerator is we're missing this cosine here. So let's multiply this by cosine theta. And what's missing from this one, compared the old denominator to the new one, is we're missing this sine. So you have to multiply that by sine. That's just simplifying. Okay, so what that's going to end up giving us is, you get negative cosine cubed theta plus sine cubed theta. So I'm going to reverse that and write the sine first so we don't lead with the negative. So we have sine cubed of theta minus cosine cube of theta divided by sine theta cosine theta times sine theta minus cosine of theta. Now what we have is difference of cubes. So our form is like this, and our A is sine of theta, and our B is cosine of theta. So we're going to expand it here. So when we expand it, we're going to get sine of theta minus cosine of theta times sine squared theta. Put the parentheses in the wrong place. Sine squared theta plus sine of theta cosine theta plus cosine squared of theta, and then all divided by your denominator, sine theta cosine theta times sine theta minus cosine theta. Now from there, we can just simplify by canceling this out. So we're left with this. So I'm going to write this under each piece. So that's going to be, let's see, I'll go to the next. Let me duplicate this real quick. All right, so that's going to be sine squared theta divided by sine theta cosine theta plus sine theta cosine theta divided by sine theta cosine theta. And then we have plus cosine squared theta divided by sine theta cosine theta. So I just broke everything up so it's easier to do. So sine goes into sine squared one time. So we were left with sine theta. This equals 1. And this one, cosine, goes into cosine squared one time. So you have cosine theta. Now we're left with sine divided by cosine, which is tangent. This equals 1. And cosine divided by sine is cotangent. And so we arrived at our desired result. If you want, we can rearrange this as 1 plus tan theta plus cotan theta. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.